So what is the process like of gender transition? Well, it's still underway, and it's been about a year since I started hormones, and I think the process is different for everyone. It would be very different if I had realized this as a teenager or in my 20s or 30s, but I'm 54 years old. I turned 55 in a few months, so it has been very wild to come out as transgender in a small community like Trinity, with just 2,400 students and a few hundred staff and faculty, people who've known me for almost 20 years. It's been wonderful. The reaction from people has been incredibly supportive, and it just feels so fantastic to be expressing all facets of my personality, and for people who really know who I am. I love it. It's challenging sometimes figuring out what to wear, or just kind of dealing with all of these issues associated with self-presentation, presenting as female. But even though it's challenging, it's a lot of fun. And I feel like it's a very safe environment. I feel like people are rooting for me, and that makes it so much easier. Throughout the 90s, as I became more interested in these issues, unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to meet lots of trans people, and I was so caught up in the theory and the political stuff that I didn't really pay attention to how easy it would have been for me to start the transitioning process at a scientific biological level back in the 90s. So that was something I think that if I'd had more exposure to trans folks, I would have realized sooner. But the factors that led me to actually transitioning were the realization that this was a part of me that I could no longer ignore. And the more that I tried to deny it or repress it, the more it occupied every waking thought. And also I was encouraged and heartened by the example of so many people coming out as transgender, whether it was celebrities, but even more so our students. In the past 5 or 6 years, more and more of our students have entered our classes and said they're using they, them pronouns, or identified as trans women or trans men. And to me, that was really inspiring and helped me realize that something was changing in our culture that made it safe to come out. There's a lot involved in changing your gender, and it's not just about the hormones and like your body. It involves things like voice. I'm taking voice lessons, learning posture, learning how to dress, learning how to do your hair, learning how to do makeup, and then laser for hair removal on the face. So those kinds of things are challenges, but they're not really obstacles in the sense that they can't be overcome. They're just things to figure out. And I guess the thing most of all that I've figured out with all of this is that the transition is the process and the destination. It's like that old saying that the journey is the destination. At one point a few months ago, I was thinking to myself, oh, I can't wait until I'm done with this whole process, and I just look like like people just see like, oh, she's a woman. But I realized that at some point I'm going to look back on this time and think very nostalgically and fondly about it, and I want to appreciate it now as I'm going through it. So whenever I start to get a little down on myself about anything trivial, I just try to remember that this is like the happiest I've ever been in my life. And that doesn't mean that there haven't been things that have happened with this that have made me sad, because there are things that have made me very sad. But overall, I'm really happy, and I really am just valuing this whole process of transition, even with the ups and downs.